Hello and welcome to Casting Roles, a persistent D&D campaign played by a bunch of theater nerds. Thank you for joining us. If you like this, please don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe. And if you really enjoy the show, you can find us on social media on Twitter at Casting Roles and on Facebook at Casting Roles ILM. And if you want a one-stop shop where you can get all of our links and information, you can go to our website, castrolls.com. We stream here every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and video uploads are available on YouTube the same week. But let's go ahead and start the show. All right, so ticket takers. After leaving the town of Broadfield to go on a excursion beyond the borders of the region that you'd been in since the beginning of the campaign, you boarded an airship that was borrowed from the royal family and included Abel's father Ogon, the ambassador of Noevia, and the crown princess Alyria. And you began to fly towards Hightower, where you were assaulted by a group of bandits from the Tidewater Syndicate who were attempting to crash the plane. Pushing the bandits away and saving the airship, you managed to also capture their airship and made your way to Hightower, the bustling city built on 5 giant islands in the center of the raging Suvanar River, right before it goes into the massive waterfall over the endless bluffs. Making your way through the town of Hightower, you were kind of led around by Soros, who is now on his home turf, and visited the Confectionarium, a wonderful place where you can buy delicious food, but also some sweets and things that are imbued with magical energy. You visited the magic shop, Penelope's Panoply, and then also the Exchange, where you met with the Air Genasi Tempest, who offered you guys the ability to sell any fine art pieces or archaeological finds that you may have on your journey. Upon leaving, Marlowe received a message from Alyria, who had gone to a very fancy dinner party with the upper crust of Hightower, and she said that a Lady Kellis was looking for you and was going to send somebody to meet you at the Absent Rapier, which is where you said that you would all be staying. So ticket takers, as you exit out of the Panoply, you're back in the Sylph Bazaar, the beautiful lantern lights lighting this open air market. The town's still bustling, even though it's probably 8 or 9 o'clock at night. And what would you like to do?
Go to the Absent Rapier.
All right. So you head kind of with Soros guiding you. You make your way kind of back out onto the circular path that leads on the outer edge of the Sylph Bazaar, and you make your way towards the edge of the island that that this ward is on, and now that you are approaching it, like, you can hear the rushing waters of the river there, not too far away, and you come across a very large tavern building, made of wood but 4 stories tall, silk streamers hanging from balconies on all of the windows. There's lights inside, and there's some red lights and bright lights pouring out, and you can immediately, even over the sound of the river, which is 500 or 600 feet behind this, you can hear the sounds of music and laughter coming from inside. And while at the Exchange you saw groups of people walking in their best clothes going to the auction house, here you might feel like you fit in a little bit more, as these are kind of ragtag everyday citizens of Hightower heading into the Absent Rapier for a night of revelry. So you approach the main entrance, and there at the front door you see a large Goliath female, completely shaved head, and she's kind of just standing there absently with her hand on her hip, the other side a scabbarded sword, and she kind of eyes you up and down as you're coming in, and she says, "It's a bit rowdy tonight. Are you coming for a show or for something else?"
like to come inside.
Well, it is open to all. We are getting a little bit crowded, but it's there. The next show will be in 10 or 15 minutes or so. So you might want to
Is
get
everyone inside as big as you?
I certainly hope not, because it would be difficult for me to kick them out when they get out of hand. But you might want to grab a good seat if you want to enjoy the show. But welcome to the Absent Rapier.
Thank you.
We're going to be looking for accommodations. To whom should we speak inside?
Oh, if you go to the bar and talk to... I wrote it down and then I lost it. Hold on. I'm trying to flip through my notes.
That's a really strange name.
Yeah.
I wrote it down.
Talk to... if you... I wrote it down and then I lost it. Oh. Talk to Robert at he handles general bar duties, but also will handle any kind of accommodations that you might need. He's at the bar at the back of the hall, not on the main bar.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Oh my God, where is it? There it is. All right, so you can hear the sound pouring from inside, and there's, like the front entrance is just kind of a swinging doors, and somebody will go in and like the door will swing open and you'll just hear this like ba ba da ba da like coming out from inside, but then the door will kind of swing closed and it'll get muffled a little bit. But then as you push in, you immediately enter into a small kind of little hallway that is just hundreds of dangling silks of all different colors. And you find yourself kind of pushing through that, and the sound getting louder and louder as you approach. And you finally go through the final kind of beaded silked curtain, and you push through, and you are now in a room, a very large room, probably 150 feet across, and probably equal deep. And there's dozens of tables, round tables with high stools, and then you see on the entire right-hand wall, the whole wall, about half of the wall is a bar that is stocked full with all manner of bottles of ale and casks, and there's 2 bartenders there working, and there's just dozens and dozens of people of all different types and shapes and sizes, and they are all laughing and enjoying the time. At the left-hand wall, you see there's a large circular stage that juts out into the floor. And in one corner of it, there's currently a small band playing. There's a lute player. There's somebody doing some kind of drumming. There's a flautist, and a few other elements. And they're going through some kind of fast, upbeat song. But everybody seems to be just kind of milling around, getting drinks, grabbing food. There's a few waiters running around. But you do see a couple of tables if you want to grab a table, or you can head to the back bar and talk to Robert first.
Should we set up our accommodations before we enjoy the show?
Yes.
In case they start filling up.
In case we're not sober.
Yeah.
It's true, negotiate better without being inebriated.
All right. So the large open bar where everybody seems to be going for drinks is there, but then there's a smaller kind of a back bar where there are a few patrons going back there, but there's only one bartender. So you head back there, and you see behind the counter a youngish, maybe 25-ish human male. Really patchy beard, his hair pulled back in a loose ponytail, and he's handing out flagons of ale. And there's a couple people ahead of you. There's a bluish dragonborn who walks away with a large tankard, and then a half-elven female walks by with another a glass of wine, and then it's there for you. And so you hear Robert there over the bar is like, yes, what can I get for you? There are
some rooms, please.
Oh, a couple of rooms. How many would you like? We're getting a little booked up. We've only got a few available.
How large are the rooms?
Well, they're fairly large. Most of them have 2 beds, but you can get one with one if you like.
2, please.
We can share. A couple of us can share. Marlo wants her own room. That's
It's
reasonable.
making sure it's fine.
Character growth. So you guys just want you want 2 rooms. So he says, so just 2 rooms. All right.
Try not to go through her bags.
I don't have a big secret to hide right now.
That's
so,
true. All right. So he says 2 rooms. It'll be 5 silver per room, which includes breakfast.
Is there bacon?
I got it.
Oh yes, there's plenty of bacon. All right. So Marlo, you hand over a gold piece, or 10 silver, whatever you'd like, and he tosses 2 keys out, and they have a little like wooden tag on them that with a room number, and you're both rooms are on the 3rd floor. He says the bath. There's a bath on each floor. I highly recommend not using the one on the 4th floor unless you want to show, but the 3rd floor bath is there, and all of that's available. But Adeline will be, Madam Adeline will be taking stage soon, so if you want to enjoy the show, I'd recommend grabbing a seat. I just combined 2 words together. A space.
Would you like some ale, Kaimana?
Not yet. Maybe later.
Don't we have a jug that gives us free beer?
Yes, mine.
That's considered bad form to drink in an establishment
Richard-
with your own stuff.
Richard says, the last guy who used an alchemy jug in here lost a couple teeth. I might not recommend it.
Oh my goodness. Strange foreign customs. Okay. Let's find a seat.
All right. So you kind of make your way back
I'll
to...
get a glass of wine.
Okay. He says, would you like the good stuff or just the
yes,
stuff that
good
will
stuff.
do it? Okay, good glass of wine. That'll be 2 silver.
Taken.
A bottle of wine is like... A good bottle of wine is like 20 gold,
A
so...
bottle or a glass?
Oh, no.
Jesus.
A good bottle of wine is
Oh.
really expensive.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I will have water, please.
Yeah, and it's a healthy. It's not like when you go to a good restaurant and they like when they're like a like wine's like this much and it's mostly the glass is mostly empty. It's a healthy pour, so it'd be pretty good.
Shall we find a seat and enjoy the show?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so you guys make your way to the main floor, and everything's kind of semicircle around the stage. The stage is thrust out. So there's a couple open seats. Most of them seem to be relatively near the front. It seems that most of the patrons that are here have grabbed seats that are further back. So there's a couple open tables near the front of the stage. So you go up and you find one. There's 4 seats around, and you can kind of pull up there and take a seat. And you are now close enough that you're looking at this band, which seems to be entirely made up of bluish, gray-skinned, lithe figures, which look very much like Tempest, who you met earlier, who is an Air Genasi. So this is an Air Genasi band. And they're kind of playing around, but as you take your seats, there's a moment where like they go quiet and the audience is still rowdy and loud, but hearing the sudden silence of the music, you hear that kind of slow where conversations slowly die down, and there's 5 or 6 seconds of silence, and like everyone's kind of looking around. Very clearly there are some patrons who probably come to this show every night, and then some patrons who are just here for the very first time and are kind of looking around confused. But right at the moment where the silence seems to have dragged on far too long, all the lights in the entire bar drop out, and you're sitting in darkness. And then a single light rises from in the center of the stage, and it was just an instantaneous moment of darkness. But now, standing at the center of the stage, you see this tall. She looks maybe she's human, but taller than perhaps an average human female. Skin, kind of copperish brown skin. Her hair hidden because she's currently wearing kind of like a jaunty hat and a very male suit that's tailored to fit her form very perfectly. And she's got a cane, and she says, "Ladies and gents, welcome one and all to Madame Adeline Lafleur's Hall of Curiosities. Do we have any newbies in the house tonight? And you see here, you hear a couple people like shouting in the background, and then like you guys like, yes, okay. And she says, "Oh, well, you are quite
magic
in for a show." And so she kind of taps the cane, and there's floor lights that suddenly kick up, and now the whole stage is lit up, and you guys are still kind of in relative darkness. And she says, "Welcome, one and all. Let's get the show started." And she points back to the band, and the band starts kicking up a thing, and she walks to the front of the stage, and there's a couple stairs there, and she walks out into the audience, and the moment she hits the bottom of the steps, the curtains on the back of the stage open up, and you see a line of very provocatively dressed half elves. There's an Aarakocra, there's a human female, and there's a few men with like kind of just garb around their waist. There's a few that have this kind of these men wearing these long dresses of silk that are flying, and there's a women that are dressed very much in the same way that Lady Adeline was dressed in a masculine garb, and there's an explosion of sound as they come out on stage, and they're dancing in unison, and there's scarves flying, and there's a couple that are doing like somersaults in the background, and it's this big huge stage opening of everything that's happening. But then as this is going on, all of these members are heading out into the audience, and you see like one of the barely clothed females going over to one of the tables, and she jumps up on the table where it was somebody who identified themselves as new to the show, and she starts dancing, and the music seems to shift and match her dancing, and it's very rhythmic, and she's kind of almost doing like this belly dance, and the light that was at the center of the stage seems to shift over to her, and just her little space is lit, and she's getting this kind of show. But she is up on the table dancing, and then she does this flip off, and she lands next to one of the people that said that they were a newbie, and she grabs them by the hand and then leads them up towards the stage. At the same time that you see this happening at another stage where one of the male figures is kind of going into this very like almost like capoeira style like dance in an area, and he does a flip over one of the tables and lands and grabs somebody and leads them up. At that time, Madame Adeline, you suddenly realize, Abel, that she has appeared between you and Kaimana, and she says, "I see that we have two here who have brought their new friends to Madame Adeline's for their very first show. Milady, which one would you like to get the special treatment?" And she looks at you, Marlo.
I'm not great at decisions.
And she kind of she leans in, and she's kind of like she's leaning over to you, and while her garb is very masculine in origin, she's carrying herself in a very feminine manner, and she kind of caresses her as she's talking to you, and she unbuttons one of her buttons, and she's looking in your direction. She's like, "Tick tick, we've got to make our decision quick."
I look between Abel and Kaimana.
Abel is mortified.
Abel.
So she goes back and she reaches to her right, and she kind of, but on Abel, on the back of your neck, you feel her kind of tracing along, not touching your skin, tracing along your beaded necklace. And then she hooks her finger into the front and pulls you up and says, "Enthusiastic consent, of course, but would you like to join us on stage?"
How could I decline?
All right, and so she grabs your hands, and when everybody sees that Madame Adeline has chosen you, there's kind of this like uproarious of joy because she leads
Oh, I
you
don't
direct to
think I
the center of the stage. And then at that point, one of the kind of larger male Goliath guys, kind of shirtless and there, he comes over and he says, "Not to outdo it, would you like to come too?" And he offers out his hand to you, Kaimana.
Yeah.
All right, and then he says, "I can carry you up there."
Yes.
All right, and so he picks Kaimana up and like doesn't like kind of tosses you into the air and then catches you on his shoulder, and so now you're standing on his shoulder, and I mean you're standing probably now a good 9 feet above, like 9 feet high, because he's a really tall Goliath guy, and he gets up on the stage as well, and so now you're up there with like 5 or 6 other people, and suddenly like chairs are brought out and set up on the stage, and Abel, like Madame Adeline, sits you down at one. And then Kaimana, you are placed in another. And she kind of looks briefly at you, Kaimana, and says, "Well, I hope he's of age." And then she turns back to the crowd and she says, "Well, we've got to break the cherry of our new bloods. Let the game begin." And immediately, like, the 3 like main kind of dancers come out, and like the one who is dancing on the table, the guy doing the capoeira, they're all there. And there's interesting, like as they're doing these flourishes, you just see like pieces of their costumes falling away, to the point where like this, as a burlesque show, is showing the skin. And the capoeira guy kind of flips around you, Abel, for a moment, and he kind of flips onto the back of your chair, and he puts his hands up on the back of your chair and does a handstand till he, like, you can like lean back, and he's just handstanding on the back. And then he flips over to the front, and he lands with his back towards you, and then sits for a moment, and then stands up and says, "Perhaps you'll like this one better." And he pulls the belly dancer over, and she starts dancing in front of you and around you as well. At the same time, Kaimana, that the Goliath figure, he kind of grabs you and tosses you carefully into the air and catches you over here. And he says, "Don't want to scare you. Let me know if it goes too far." And then he kind of throws you again over to his other hand. And then he holds out his arm for you, and he's kind of motioning for you to run across his back to the other hand.
I'll do that.
All right, so you scamper across his arm, and then he grabs your hand and kind of pushes you up into a handstand and lifts you up above his head. At this time, Abel, both of the dancers are surrounding you, kind of changing places. You've got the male dancer and the female dancer there. And at one point, one of them says, "Which would you like for us to stick around?"
I am enjoying both of your company.
Well, at this point you only have one. There's a couple other people on stage that deserve a little attention.
I'll stick with him.
Okay, so she kind of she prances off in the other direction, and she starts dancing with one of the other patrons, while the capoeira guy, he's dancing in front of you provocatively, but there's a moment where he does like this, that kind of kick backwards, and his foot catches the bottom of your chair, and you feel your chair like lift off the floor, and you think you're gonna tumble over backwards. I know, come on, it's upside down.
I just looked at
Yeah. You think you're gonna tumble over backwards, but then somebody catches you, and then he gets you up where you're only on one leg, and he starts spinning you around until you're about to fall out of the chair, and he catches you in his arm, and then he lifts you up, and he's dancing around with you. And you see that this is happening across the stage with a few other people. Kaimana, he flips you up onto your feet in his palm, and then transfers you over to the other hand. And then he does kind of that like spin down where you kind of cartwheel down to the ground, and then he puts you back over in your chair. And then there's this flurry of movement and scarves, and like everybody else off stage, all you see is like this flurry of scarves going around, and you see like clothing pieces flying off, and you think, oh my god, like everybody's just going to be naked when this is all over. But then
I lean over to Marlo and go, It's about to get good.
And there's this moment where like the scarves are kind of like everybody who's not doing one of the dances is kind of going around with these scarves, and then all of a sudden they all kind of fly up in the air and they fall down, and you see like Abel like dipped in this embrace with this this muscled male holding him there, and Kaimana is balancing on the tip of the Goliath's nose. With his hands on the tip of the Goliath's nose, and the Goliath's just kind of barely holding him there. And then Madame Adeline comes back out and she says, "Welcome, and enjoy the rest of the show." And everyone starts clapping, and they start leading everybody back down to the stage. And then the rest of the traditional show of dancers coming out and some singing songs. So they guide you both back down, and Madame Adeline guides the two of you down, and when she gets there, she's like, "As those that have had your cherries popped, our signature drink," and she waves over, and you see Robert carrying over a tray, upon which he has what looks like, it's not a coconut, but it's kind of like a coconut-type fruit that has been hollowed out, and it is filled to the brim with some kind of drink, and it puts one in front of Kaimana and puts one in front of Abel. And Marlo, you know this, and Soris as well, that this is called the Home Wrecker. And and it's always given to...
Well named?
Yes, it is given to... it's the only those who this is their first time ever at the Absent Rapier can receive the Home Wrecker, and it's as a sign of like, you'll never go home again because now this is your new home type of thing. So they give you the Home Wrecker, and
Thank you, madam. Thank you.
yes, you're welcome. You're welcome. I recognize a good audience when I see one. And she prances back up on stage, and there's this moment where like there's a shimmering of light, and suddenly like she kind of does a turn, and her kind of tailored male jacket opens in the back, and this flowing dress pops out, and she kind of does this like Cinderella on Broadway flip, where now she's wearing this gorgeous ball gown, and she takes off her hat and she kind of throws it into the audience, and she kind of shakes out, and this like red tangled curly mane of hair falls out along her shoulders, and she kind of leads everybody into a slower kind of dance, kind of like Satine's entrance in Moulin Rouge with diamonds are a girl's best friend type performance that picks up tempo as they go, but the rest of the show goes on for another 15 or 20 minutes or so, and it ends in this explosion of glitter and sound that rains across the whole audience, and everyone's uproarious and cheering, and then suddenly as it began, all the lights go out, and then Adeline's left alone on stage, and she says, "Well, we must rest, but we will be back for the midnight show. It gets a little bit more risky, if you know what I mean." And she heads backstage.
Oh dear.
All right.
Well,
You're never going to get that glitter out.
No, it is everywhere. If you didn't cover your drink, it'd be floating in your drink, but yeah.
What'd you say, Kamana?
stamp of this drink.
It's delicious. It tastes tropical, but after just a few sips, you can tell like it goes down easy, but probably hits real hard.
Okay.
And it's
I think
big.
When I need to make my con save.
Yeah, I'll let you know. When you finish this drink, let me know, because that'll be where we start.
I think I'll take a couple of sips and maybe offer some to Marlo. I don't think I'll finish the entire thing.
Yeah, I'll partake
All right.
gently in this.
Yes. All right. And so you guys are there. The music after the show kind of dies down a little bit. There's only, it seems like the players are taking turns, taking breaks. So you might just have a little bit of time where there's just the drum solo happening, or just somebody playing the flute. But there seem to be kind of in between show breaks. But you've got the space or time here.
I can see why you wanted to choose this place, Solis. It is very high entertainment value.
Yes, it is. It's also a nice counterpart from the Rift. There's
Are we going
different
to
kinds of
stay for the
entertainment there.
midnight show?
They're very friendly here. Like home.
Oh, like home.
I think Kaimana would enjoy the midnight show.
Be an interesting performance.
I think you would enjoy the midnight show.
I think I might.
Marlo, I don't think you'd enjoy the midnight show.
I've seen the Midnight Show.
Does Marlo
And?
remember the midnight show?
No, absolutely not.
Ah.
Huh.
So, what is the plan after we have settled in for the night? Do we
Well,
know?
We need to see what this woman wants of Marlo.
Yeah.
Do we know anything
I
about
guess-
Lady Killis? Achilles?
Nope. Mm-mm.
So
I
this
also want to find out.
ring bell?
No. I also want to find out what's going on with the Boreal Quarter and why it's closed.
Yes.
There's ways in that we can get in there, but I want to know whether it's because of plague or politics or whatever.
So investigate that tomorrow. Anything else
might
we
be
need to do before we head
So
out?
maybe it's not a good idea to stay for the midnight show. We have a
Oh, I
pretty-
think you need to stay for the midnight show. You'll be fine in the morning.
I would like to see that bath they were talking about on the 4th floor.
Oh. Yeah, you could do that.
I just look at Marlo
Just like
and then
don't
just drink my wine.
Just don't. Remember how you did the beer in the bath thing? Don't
Yeah.
do that there.
I was going to say, yeah.
Should
My
I
mama
take
in the
should I
bathroom.
take my home wrecker up there?
I think that would be fine. Yeah, just don't put it in the bath. You know what I mean?
Oh no, this floats.
Perfect.
At some point, a waiter does come around and ask if you guys want any food or other drinks.
Does the show include the meal or is that extra?
Well, the show is
Did it just include breakfast?
the show is free, but dinner and
Or
drinks
the
are
room,
not.
the room just includes breakfast.
Yes.
Okay.
I throw a 5 silver up and go, what's going on with the Boreal Quarter?
Oh, and so he kind of sides down and he slides in. Well, I don't know if you've seen the news, but there seems to be quite a plague making its way through the Boreal Quarter.
We just got into town, so that's good to know.
Yes, apparently it's quite catching.
And outside the quarter?
Well, are you from Hightower?
Yes.
Then you know that the districts can very easily be isolated from one another. So once the first cases were spotted in Boreal, of course, they isolate Boreal very quickly. You know, can't let the poor mix with the rich and give them their plague. So they shut down the bridge fairly quickly.
Interesting. Thank you.
Yeah. But no drinks or food?
I'll take an ale.
Just a water for me. I'm still nursing the home record.
I see that. All right.
I'll take dinner.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe some chips.
Chips, potatoes. Okay. So he kind of heads back. At some point, there's just a general kind of dish meal that they serve, and it looks like roasted beef with a gravy and potatoes and carrots, and sets that in front of Saurus. Sets out some potatoes that were kind of like loosely diced and looks like maybe pan fried in front of you, Kaimana, and then an ale for you, Marlo, and your water.
In the water, please.
Yeah, and a water. He sets down the water for you. Well, I'm just walking around. Don't feel free to grab me if you need something. And he winks and then walks off.
So this.
Oh, and he did take. It's like a silver for the not even a silver. It's like 5 copper for the meal, and like a silver for the ale.
I pay for Kaimon.
Yeah.
I pay for everybody.
Okay, you're good.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
So whatever the quarantine is, or the disease going around in the Boreal Quarter, we should take precautions to make sure that we are not infected ourselves while we are there.
Yes, in order to get to the Monastery of the Four Winds, we have to go through the Boreal Quarter. But there's ways in through the rift.
I thought you
Better.
don't like the rift.
Oh, I didn't say that. It's just different than here.
No.
This is probably the third or fourth time that you've directly heard him mention the rift, Abel. You would have no knowledge of what he's talking about.
What else is new?
Like you know Hightower. Like you studied Hightower in school. You've been to Hightower, but the rift is not something that you would be aware of.
So then, Abel asks, what is this rift that you all keep talking about?
Come
We'll
on,
talk
you
about it
also
when we
don't
have more
know,
privacy.
I assume some underground economy, maybe, or
You shall see.
okay. I am trusting you. Are we also going to investigate the Vale incursions in Blighthold and Shadowvale and is it Rheingrod?
Rheingerald, yes.
Rheingrod? Do you believe we'll have time to meet with Lady Khalees and
Well, if
I
we
mean-
can get...
do all of these things?
I mean, in theory, if it's my job stuff, then that might overlap a bit. That's kind of what like I'm supposed to do with my job. I just don't do it that often. I mean, I guess technically Soren was like really on the to-do list. Like Soren was right on the money, but everything else is kind of like tangential, I guess.
So
I
these
think
things
it
may overlap
depends.
either way.
Was that
so
Rob? Yeah.
I think our order depends on whether we get the airship or not, because we know we have to go to. Oh shoot! I'm blanking on the name of
Feldspar.
Feldspar.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm.
We know we have to go to Feldspar, and we're on a clock because of Robin Goodfellow. So if we're having to take traditional means, then I think we need to go there first because of the travel time. If we get the airship, then we might be able to either go there first and then hit the others on the way back, or hit them on the way there, depending on how we want to do it.
Mar, you would know just because
Sometimes we were supposed to.
Mar would know just from the fact that she's from the part of the world where Feldspar is, that from Hightower to that region would be roughly a 2-week trip on foot, but with an airship would only probably be like 7 or 8 hours. Because
How do we meet the airship?
yeah, you have to make it through the mountain pass to get there, so that takes a long portion of time. But if you guys have the airship, then you have a couple weeks to play with.
So, first
While
thing
we-
tomorrow, go fight for the airship.
Relatively speaking.
Right,
may have
verbally.
something
Yeah, we already fought for that airship.
Exactly. Just prove our point that we deserve the airship.
Marlowe is
I will not.
spectacular.
I
may
will
have
not
something that could be helpful.
necessarily add to that conversation. I don't know how much I'll.
Well, it
I
was
can
your idea
tell-
now. You think-
Right, it was my idea, but I think maybe the more vocal members of our group, specifically everyone but me, should like take the front on this one, you know, and I'll just stand there in the back and look. menacing. I don't know. Yeah.
Yes, that would be good. I think we should get Kaimana to make the appeal, because who can turn down Kaimana? Abel and I can throw in logic when needed, and Marlo looks menacing.
And I may have something to give you a bit of an advantage if
I just want to shit.
you do decide to be our spokesperson, Kamala.
Yeah. See, that's good, Kaimana. If you can really like just kind of
one shit.
guilt them
Just
into
the
it.
one.
I think that's an angle that
We
we
didn't
can.
even have it a week ago.
That's
So-
strong. I think that's our angle in.
Were we not supposed to meet with someone about the... I don't want to say out loud, but
I think that would overlap with where Saurus wants to go
Devin,
tomorrow.
our friend Devin, yes?
Hmm.
Okay. So
That would
first
be
thing
my
in the morning, we check on the airship and then go from there.
Yeah. Also, we gotta sell former friends stuff. You know what I mean? My mom's jewelry.
I don't know
And the
what you
rings.
Right. Yeah. We might want to sell those. See what we can get for them.
You hadn't talked about your mom before.
Yeah,
Oh
that's a good point.
no, that wasn't. That was a clever ruse.
Oh,
I mean, do we want to sit around and talk about our moms? Is that what we're doing?
You brought her up.
No, I was. You like a zookeeper friend, you know? Remember?
Oh.
Yeah.
Your
I don't think
mom.
Kamana and I were aware that we had anything from our zookeeper friend.
Well, we do, and I think maybe we can turn some good profit for that for our friend who so generously donated that to us.
Yes.
Well,
Very
Medasanti bless
generous.
our zookeeper friend.
Kaimana?
Yes,
Very generous.
exactly. What a great person.
Just a damn shame what happened to her.
Exactly. Well, at least her cat lives on.
At least she went out with things she loved.
This has become a bit morbid, this conversation.
I mean, to be fair, I got the shit beat out of me today. Like, I was really cool in that fight, but also, if I had to put a number on, like, where my health is at, I would say I'm at 20% of my usual capacity.
What? I think I might have like one spell slot,
Oh, it's fine. I'll go to bed tonight and I'll be fine. It doesn't matter.
but I'm sure you're
In
in
the
pain.
meantime, have another ale.
Should
I'm
not
always
suffer.
beat up. It's truly fine.
At some point, Saurus, you are probably the most... Well, Marlo's pretty sober too, but her passive perception is not quite as high as yours. You do notice that a figure walks in the front door, and while everyone else very, very clearly is like, I'm here to have fun, this person is... They're wearing like a cloak, hood down, bald head, kind of a Abe Lincoln beard, and he's looking around, and he kind of leans over and asks Robert a question, and then you see Robert like peering around and just kind of points in your general direction, and you see this a figure
It's
approaching
kind of
your
hard.
table.
It's kind of hard to hide a giant white rat.
Yeah, like you're
in a crowd.
You're pretty straightforward. So
No.
Robert like points in your direction, and they all kind of he heads that. You see this figure approaching your table, and he walks up and he says, "Yes, I hope I'm not interrupting anything. Is Marlo? Am I at the right table? Is this
Yes.
Marlo
Hi. Hello. Mm-hmm.
Oh, Marlo, good, thank God. So my name is Toby. I was sent by Lady Kellis.
Mm-hmm. Lady Kellis,
talk-
who I know so well, and she is.
Do we need to talk somewhere more quiet?
Oh, no, I don't think so.
And Lady Kellis, of course, is.
Oh, well, Lady Kellis Notice. She's one of the four rulers of Hightower.
One of the 4 rulers of Hightower.
Yes.
Yes, of course. I was just testing you.
Yeah.
Right. You've met Lady Kellis then.
No, I don't think so.
Oh,
No.
I was not aware that there was a connection. Lady Kellis met your friend, the princess, this evening, and the princess said that you were the leader of the ticket takers. Is that correct?
Yep. Hmm.
Now
Sure.
wait just a minute.
Good. So, Lady Kellis, in addition to being on the council that rules Hightower, she is the headmistress of the Adventuring College.
Uh-huh.
And after hearing the stories of the Adventurers Guild from Princess Alyria, she has extended an invitation to you to visit the college tomorrow.
Oh, that's so generous.
What time could we be there?
Yeah.
Oh, well, there's a few other bits of the offer, but classes begin around 9 in the morning, so kind of
A.M.?
shortly after breakfast.
goodness.
But you can make your way there at any time, of course. Lady Kellis believes that you might find it quite difficult to fly an airship to Feldspar, but might have a solution to your problem.
We are getting that airship.
I mean, we're gonna get the airship, but yeah, we'll hear this out as well.
And he kind of
I will not be this way.
he says so whenever you're ready tomorrow, of course, Lady Kellis will be on the campus all day, so you are free to come see her. He hands out to you, Mark, because he believes that you're the leader of the ticket takers. He hands you a wooden piece, kind of this big, very elaborately carved and painted, and you see that it is an Aeolian pass, which, Source, you would know that the Aeolian ward is one of the more kind of isolated wards of the city and is only open to members of the Violet Cloister, the Acumen. So to have this is a pass to get into the Alien ward.
Thank you,
Of course,
lose that.
Toby.
yes. And when you arrive on campus, you just show that. If somebody gives you trouble, just mention my name, and I will be brought to the gate to guide you. But you should not run into any issues.
His name was Toby?
Toby, yeah.
Toby.
Well, Toby, it has been great. Do you want a drink or anything?
Oh, I'm technically still on the clock, and Lady Kellis would not approve.
That's. Mm-hmm.
But I appreciate it. Thank you.
Hmm.
All right. And then-
Anything else, Toby?
oh no, that is the entirety of my message. I should probably go. She's quite demanding. Do you have any other questions for me? Oh no.
No.
We lost.
I assume that the college is easy to find in the Aeolian ward.
Oh,
Aeolian ward.
yes, quite. So once you cross the bridge, the left-hand side of the Aeolian ward is completely dedicated to the Violet Cloister. It is walled, and you will not have access unless you have a Violet Cloister pass. The entire right-hand side of the island is...
Do I have one of those since I'm supposed to go to school?
You have one for Anarvir. You don't know if it would work at Hightower or not. You could try.
Oh, okay.
The entire right-hand side of the island is dedicated to the Acumen. If you walk straight from the bridge, you will hit a relatively large... It used to be a fort, but it's a castle-like structure, and that is the Adventuring College. It's very difficult to miss.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you. And he bows and kind of backs away and heads. He kind of like peeks around at the space that you're all in, and then heads out the door and on his merry way.
I made up my mind.
Cool.
Was he
So
judging
that's
us? I think he was judging us.
he was judging us, and also that's someone who wants something from us. That's not
Well,
how
definitely.
politicians work. So
They don't
Cool.
give anything for free.
no.
So
be fun.
the
Who is the leader of the ticket takers? I've been assuming Kamana the entire time.
I've been assuming that it was like a democratic,
yes, I thought we were a
Kind of.
democracy.
you know, right? Yeah.
I mean, well, I guess
Why did Alyria say I'm the leader? I want to investigate that for a second. Did that just
Well, you obviously made an impression on the princess.
because I beat her up?
I-
that-
you
is that what it
the
takes?
probably have the highest title of anyone, being the Lost Ranger. What is the Fifth Ranger?
The sixth ranger.
The sixth
Green
Ranger.
I don't know.
The green ranger.
Yeah. It's cool. It's so new. I don't remember it most of the time. So,
I mean, you have
I
some-
guess. Well, you're the son of a diplomat. I mean, that's not minor.
his accomplishments are not mine, though. So
Well,
Kamana is from a humble fishing village, and I was created in a test tube.
we all have, you know, things we're bringing to the table.
I was created a test tube. Yeah, we all got our selling.
It's more
point.
like an Erlenmeyer flask, if I'm being honest, but
I think your title will help to bring us a bit more prestige when we need to get into exclusive, places. When we need audiences with important people, eh?
Yeah, hit or miss, maybe, depending on who we're talking to. But yeah, it should work in some places. Or at least, I should have contacts in a couple of spots.
See, there you go.
I have contacts here in Hightower if we need them.
In the Rift, correct?
In a variety of places.
Cool,
Abel,
so...
Saurus, roll a perception check.
$19.
Okay, so when Abel says rift, there is a moment where, like, a table to your right, you notice somebody kind of, and then go back to their jovial conversation.
Oh man.
Was it side eye like, don't say that out loud, or is it, huh?
It was kind of a little like trying to see who you are that is talking about this thing. Like who you guys are, yeah. Kaimana cannot, it's just, this is too much for his internet connection today.
College.
The adventuring college, which you guys heard about yesterday,
Yeah.
or sorry,
the scam
last,
college.
yeah. All right, yeah. So they're kind of glance over. They're just kind of dressed in loose cloaks, leathers, like not. There's just two guys sitting at this table, and one of them just kind of shot you a little look, or not you specifically, but like your group. Yeah.
So tomorrow, airship argument, college, Saurus's friends. That sound good?
Sounds like
Sounds
a
like a
plan.
plan.
I am
And tonight,
not drinking
Kamana gets
anymore.
bathtub.
Come on, I get the bathtub.
Yes.
Somebody at the table on the other side of you, not the Segi table, like they kind of stand up and they're swaying a little bit, and they kind of slam back a little and hit the back of your chair, Abel, and you feel half of an ale kind of like fall over their shoulder and douse onto your back, and they're like, oh man, I'm so sorry. He's but I can get it. He's like wiping you down.
She may wait.
Oh well, you're
My
wet.
hand is on my bag of holding, and I look at them very closely. I don't need any assistance. Thank you.
Well,
I can take care of it myself.
you're all wet there. Okay.
I'm fine.
And he
Please walk away.
He stumbles away.
You should go home, bud.
Yeah, that's a. Yeah, okay.
Perception check to see if he tried to lift anything.
Yep, I'm
Alright.
checking my person.
Go ahead.
Nat 20. So 24.
There was definitely a moment where when he hit Abel, that the hand slid down to a pouch that Abel keeps on his pocket, or like on his left-hand side.
Is
I'm
that
checking
pouch
my
still
person.
there?
The pouch,
I think so.
the pouch is still there.
Does the pouch feel any lighter?
You'd have to check.
Ay, ay, ay. Okay. I'm checking my belongings. Keep an eye out for me, please.
So you kind of go to check the pouch, and you feel that it's still cinched tightly, and it probably, like, you pushing him away prevented him from wheedling his way into your money pouch. And at that, like, you're keeping a good eye out, Saurus. You see he kind of stumbles away until he kind of falls into the crowd a little bit, and then immediately straightens up and walks very carefully over to the main bar. And you see he's standing right next to a man in like a full, like, royal blue velvet with gold brocade, who's like macking on this girl next to him who doesn't look interested at all. And the guy just kind of idly, like, and you see him juggle a couple coins in his hand and then pop up in his pocket, and then he disappears off to the other side.
Looks like you might need a bath too.
It's okay.
Did anything additional show up in the pouch?
No. There's no additional items there, yeah.
Okay. Not planning a bug. Okay.
Well, with that being said, I think I will take my leave, head up to my room.
Okay. Who's staying in what room?
I will bunk with Saurus because I might be able to, like, fiddle with his gun a little bit. That sound. Wait a minute. Skirt.
It is the Absent Rapier. So.
I think I'd be curious about seeing how his gun ticks and just wanting to, like, tinker with it if you let me.
It didn't get
Well,
any
also
better.
with the Gauntlet of Storm that I've got, where it's got the damaged crystal, it may be possible to replace it with one non-damaged crystal.
You are getting. You are getting
Yeah, we
two
got
of those cut.
that
yeah.
guy
Mhm.
trying to
Yeah.
cut a few crystals for us. Right?
Yeah, but he's going to have to take out the broken one.
And could
in order to put the new
potentially.
one.
You also have the other gauntlet as well that you could potentially look at.
Yeah.
Oh,
Alright.
I'm sick of that.
So
Okay, yeah.
Abel, you make your way up to your room, and then
Yep.
do you take Saurus's gun, or Saurus, or what are you gonna do?
I'll just, Saurus can keep it. Things might get a little hairy downstairs, so I want him to keep his weapon.
Yeah, I'm not giving you my gun.
so you go upstairs. And
I like you and all, but
Yeah.
but no.
So you have the space.
Yeah, no.
You have the room
I
to
want
yourself.
you to go on.
Yeah, you have the room to
I
yourself,
think
able to work
while
on
I'm
anything.
up here, what I will do is I'll pull out my puzzle box,
Okay.
which
go-
I
Make
got from
two.
my instructor.
Make two investigation checks.
Dos.
Yeah.
Is that with advantage or just two checks?
Just two checks.
Investigation. Nation. A 22, 15 plus 7. And a 18, 11 plus 7.
All right. Okay. Cool. So while Abel's upstairs, what are you all doing downstairs?
And I've locked the
I'm
door and
finished
everything.
my
Just-
drink.
You're finishing. Oh God. Okay. Roll a Constitution saving throw.
14.
14. You feel a little bit of rumbly in your tumbly, but You are able to kind of hold it down. And you are like that level of drunk where you're like, I'm not drunk. Like you're like a confident not drunk, but you're clearly still drunk.
No.
Nah.
I will escort Kaimana to the bath, and then I will retire.
On the
Volunteers on the
third
bath.
floor or the fourth floor bath?
Fourth. I could count.
Okay. So
I remember that the guy said something about a show, but that's where Kaimana wants to go, so I make sure he gets there at
Okay.
least without falling downstairs,
all right.
and then he's on his own.
And, yeah, and like
Let me take his coin purse from him just in case.
He's on his own.
the landing on the fourth floor, the bath door is like right in front of the landing, and you can just see steam kind of pouring out of the edges of it, and you hear sounds coming from inside the bath. There's some laughter, some titillation. You hear like a deep like of a couple men. There's some laughter of some whatever. And Kaimana, you're there. You can open the door, and you can imagine exactly what you see happening inside.
Sounds fun.
And the bath is yours. Mar, what are you up to?
Bubble bath.
I mean, I'll probably go have another ale at the bar and then go upstairs. I'm not looking for a crazy night. I mean, if I see any, like, interesting people, I'll look at them and not talk to them, but, you know.
We are
You're
around.
going with your strengths, Marlo.
Yeah. Marlo, when you approach the bar to get another ale, do you go to the main bar or do you go to the back bar again?
I guess I don't know. Where was that weird looking dude? Like the drunk guy that wasn't drunk met up with, like in the cloak.
Oh, he's still at the main bar. He's still at the main bar, and the girl that
Yeah.
he was hitting on has gone off, and he's just kind of there alone.
Cool. I'll go to the main bar, but like not close to him. Just like, and I'm not like, looking at him, but just to like see like what he's up to. Just like if he's saying anything weird.
Okay, so you kind of get close enough to hear, and he seems to be talking to no one in particular, just like talking, like, yeah, well, when you're from the Aeolian ward, of course everybody wants to get to know you, but only the best deserve it. So it's not my fault that nobody wants to like talk to me tonight. When you come partying down in the Absent Rapier, you've got to be with the ruffians, right? And the bartender's just like cleaning a glass and like not even really looking or paying attention to him.
I just see the bartender just looking at him. What do you want? To Marlo.
Yeah, another bartender does come down to you, Marlo, and you want an ale, hands off an ale
Yeah.
to you. And as you're kind of standing there interested, like somebody slides up, puts their elbows on the bar next to you, and you look up and you see Madame Adeline LaFleur.
Oh no.
And she kind of flips her hair over her shoulder, and she's no longer in like that like lavish ball gown. She's just kind of wearing a simple tunic and pants. And she says, I've got to get a little refreshment before the next show. Are you enjoying yourself?
Yeah, the show was great. You're quite the performer.
Thank you. You're quite overdressed for the establishment. Might want to let yourself down a little bit. You look a little uptight.
Oh, that's me. Do you? Can I get you a drink?
Oh, what a pleasure. And she kind of waves, and she holds out her hand, and the bartender places a goblet of wine in her hand, and she says, I really should be asking you those things, but I appreciate the gesture. She takes a sip.
So how did you get into this?
Let's just say it's hereditary. My mother was the madame of the Absent Rapier before me. My father was the monsieur of the Absent Rapier. So it just kind of fell into my lap. And so now I like to fall into others.
It's a pretty impressive legacy.
Thank you. I think that you've been here before, is that correct?
Oh yeah, it was a while ago. But yeah, I was here on like a work trip.
What an interesting choice for a work excursion.
To be fair, I didn't know what this place. I'm not sure if the person I was with knew. It was a night.
In my experience, those who know like to bring others into the fold.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Anything goes here. One can find any kind of proclivity or interest. Rather welcoming.
Mm-hmm.
She like looks out at the crowd gathered and she says, "Is there anything that catches your eye?"
Oh, I mean, I pretend to look at the crowd.
You roll a pretend perception check.
Yeah. Should I roll a deception check to see how convincing it is?
Yeah, sure.
You fail this. I hope you fail this.
She has-
12. It's not terrible.
That's like the best percent. She kind
I
of
rolled
like.
a 13.
She's as much as she's talking to you, she's doing that thing that like a very practiced bar owner does, where she makes you feel like she's giving you her full attention, but she's also very clearly watching her establishment.
Yeah.
So she's kind of looking out, and she says, "It's kind of a dry night, actually."
No, this is a dry night. Wow.
Yes. When the rowdy bunch from the Boreal Quarter are allowed in, it gets a little bit more extravagant.
Yeah, I heard that got closed off.
That's quite unfortunate.
Yeah, it's hope that resolves soon, I guess.
Well, I imagine those in power are fast at work finding a cure for the poor Boreal residents.
As they always are. This place is really nice. It's cool. It's cool. This spot to visit. You do good work here.
She, poor child, and she kind of waves the bartender down, and she says, she needs some of the good stuff. No more of this garbage. And she sets your ale to the side.
Oh.
Put
Okay.
2 drinks on my tab. And she kind of taps your hand. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Oh, thanks so much.
And she kind of she sachets out into the crowd, and she turns back and gives you a little wink, and then heads off. But now the bartender sets in front of you like
I slammed these drinks.
like sets in front of you like a deep like malty like very very nice ale in front of you. You slam the first
slam
one,
it.
and then
I
they
slam it.
they pour the second one. Go ahead and roll a Constitution saving throw after the slamming the second one.
I'm good at Constitution saving throws. Yeah, 16.
Okay, yeah. So like you're burping a little bit, but you managed to hold it down. But these were strong drinks, so
Unfortunate for me.
you definitely feel a little tipsy afterwards. And the bartender's like, not many impress her enough to open her corn purse. Take it, it's quite a compliment.
I mean, you saw what happened. I butchered that conversation. I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, Adeline has that effect on people. I think she actually has a glamour.
You know, it's funny that you say that because that was good for me. That was solid. That was actually a good one.
Wow. Cheers to that then.
Thank you. Oh, I feel pressured to stay for the midnight show now. Oh no. I think I have to.
Right.
She bought me drinks.
And she's hot.
And she's very hot.
And she's like, it is impossible to tell how old Adeline is. She's like that ageless, like immaculate beauty. And up front, like when you first saw, like you'd seen her before the last time you did a show, but when you first saw her, she had very much like done her makeup in a way to masculinize her features, even like including like the shadow of like a 5 o'clock beard on her face.
Nice.
Then she had like this beautiful, beat, to the gods face for the last half of the performance. And then as you saw her here, very natural, but just an air of confidence and an air of, she is the master of this realm.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I hole up somewhere that I think people won't bother me
Okay.
and just chill.
All right. Abel, did you say you locked the door?
Yeah.
So Soros, when you make it back to the room, the door's locked.
I knock.
Okay, you knock. And there's no
Get up
answer.
Oh, there's no answer.
There's no answer.
I guess you gotta go to the bath.
Can I not hear him? Open the
Abel, when you activated the first node, you made it past the first part of the block that you normally hit. With the second one, you revolved to the full thing, and then you passed out.
and I can't hear things. Well, this is.
I go to the other room that we've got.
Okay.
Oh no, I'm getting kicked out tonight. Oh jeez.
All right. So you head over to the other room. It is open. There's 2 beds. Neither of them have been claimed because Kaimana is in the bath. And
I just stretch out on the floor.
all right, cool.
Monk ascetic.
There you go. So you're there, and Kaimana, there are probably 5 or 6 other people in the bath. It's definitely a no clothes policy, and they are all enjoying their time. You are making many friends. They think you're the most cute and adorable thing ever, and they're not even upset that you dumped the whole rest of your Helmwrecker into the bath with you. So, anything else that you want to do this evening before you pass out, Kaimana?
I'm going to take a quick nap in the bath.
Okay. So you fall asleep. There's like this there's this guy there who's just kind of chatting up this other guy next to him, and you fall asleep, but you like grab his thumb, and you're just holding it there as you're floating, and he's just like, "This is the best night at the Absent Rapier ever. I mean, like, I'm gonna come back tomorrow. Like, this is great." And he they're kind of enjoying their bath time. Marlo, the midnight show begins, and it is exactly what the midnight show at the Absent Rapier should be.
Yep.
I'm thinking Vegas risque here.
Yeah, like there's like the burlesque. There were like they used. It's kind of like, okay, we use pasties because nipples are inappropriate or whatever. Like, they let all of that go at midnight. There is some swinging Richards. There is, it is all there. It is all out in the open, but it's beautiful because you realize, like, without all of the flourish and without all of the costuming, that the people that she has put together as her like crew of performers are like really talented dancers. And it's this interesting thing that, like, yes, what they're doing is like sexual and for the purpose of being sexual, but it's also almost like you're watching like the way that a beautiful Roman marble somehow manages to capture the beauty of the human form in stone. Like, you're watching this dance that is sexual in nature, but it's like watching the beauty of of the human form and its ability to move and create and express emotion. And it's almost like you can tell they're telling a story about a lost love that is found again, and the joy of that newfound love. And it's all manner of love that's being expressed on stage, but in a way that is also fun and colorful and beautiful. At some point, Adeline LaFleur comes out, and she has bound. She's bound her chest, but other than that, she's only wearing kind of like this like lacy, not negligee bottom, but covering at the bottom that kind of drapes across the floor. That's like pinned with pearlescent like opals and pearls along it. And she kind of dances around the two characters that seem to be dancing as lovers at the center, and it's almost like she's playing like a goddess, overseeing this love affair, and she's bringing them together and separating them again, and then allowing them to come together and caress before she separates, and then finally they collapse together in an entwining mass that she's overseeing, and then she kind of looks out at the audience, sees you there, nods, and then she throws up her hand, and you can tell she's not the one creating the magic, but somebody somewhere is creating some kind of illusion magic, because the moment she does that, there's this explosion of fireworks throughout the room, just going off in all places, and you just like, it sounds like distant fireworks, but they're exploding over your head, and like this green like dahlia fireworks kind of falls down around you at your table, and the glittering lights in the haze of your drunkenness, and it's just this. It is a beautiful performance that capstones the evening.
Cool.
All right, Abel, I will talk to you on the break about what you see. Unless you want people to know what happens when you mess with the ball.
I mean, we can talk on the break. It's fine.
Okay. At some point, if you tell people, because this is the first time it's ever actually worked for you without somebody there to steal the ball from you. So
That happens.
yeah. All right. So let's go ahead and there with fireworks of many kinds happening, and Adeline walks the room after the performance. So if you have any kind of liquid courage that would encourage you to want to speak to her, Mar. She's there. She kind of does walk by at some point and says, "Your glass looks awful empty."
Oh, yeah, I might refill. That was even more impressive than the first one.
It's quite my favorite. Actually, it's my father choreographed the original version of that one. He called it "The Labors of Lost Love."
It's really beautiful.
I appreciate it. And she kind of twirls around and she's like, "Well, I'm off for the evening now. And you know, this place never shuts down, but a lady does need to get her beauty rest at some point, isn't that right?"
Yeah, totally. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna go get my own room real quick. If you want, I'll let you know. I go away
Okay.
from this and I go get my own room.
All right. So she watches you go to the thing, and she sees and Robert kind of notices that she's watching you, and then he just holds up like 401. And so you make your way up to the 4th floor and you go into your room, and not too much later, you hear a knock knock on the door, and when you open it, she's changed again. She's kind of just wearing a very loose tunic, but you can tell that she's removed her binding, and so she's just kind of got this loose tunic that's like open down the front, with like just one or two of the latches caught. And then she says, "In the mood for a bit of a nightcap?"
Yeah.
And she comes in, and we will fade to black. And we'll go ahead and take our 10 minutes there.
Thank you, 10.
And we'll be back at 10. Thank you all so much. Sticky Diggers, welcome back from the break. So the next morning, the sound of birds kind of awaken you, and Abel, you find yourself asleep on your bed, and like you wake up, and like the puzzle balls in one hand, and you notice like next to you on the bed, like all of your jewel crafting tools are out, and you have two what's the term? Accomplished carved crystals. As well as the completed second gauntlet is now complete there. Kaimana, at some point, I don't know if you stumbled back to your room, so you wake up and Saurus is there asleep on the floor. And so you guys kind of awaken, and then Marlo, when you wake up, like at the foot of your bed, Adeline is kind of braiding her hair. And she's kind of pulled she's pulled a tunic over, and she's just like, well, I've probably got to go get breakfast on. Next time you're in town, don't forget to say hello.
Yeah, will do.
All right, and she
My name's Marlo, by the way. I never told you that. It feels weird that never came up before.
It's perfectly all right. Addie.
I'll see you later, Daddy.
She had, her side braid finished. She kind of gets up and straightens her tunic, and she walks out and heads down. All right. So, imagining that you all gather for breakfast, it's a very good breakfast. There's plenty of meats, potatoes, vegetables, eggs, like anything that you would like is kind of presented to you there.
Pocket bacon.
Plenty of bacon that you can take for pocket bacon.
Yes.
And then after breakfast, where would you all like to head?
Any bacon or bread I want to like stow away. Bacon and bread.
They basically bring out, if you've ever experienced like an English breakfast, like a big full English breakfast, you each get one of those. So it's probably far more food than you would actually be able to eat in one sitting and be a functional person. So there's definitely plenty of leftovers. And since Marlo doesn't eat meat, there's all of her meat is still available. So
Yeah, tossing it all to Abel.
I'm very grateful.
Airship.
It sounds like a plan. So let's head off to the airship and see what we can do to lay claim to it, eh?
Okay. All right, so you guys leave the Absent Rapier and turn in your keys for the evening, and then you make your way back through town. And the town is you notice that this ward of Hightower, relatively quiet in the mornings. It seems like this is where people come for like shopping and midday type things into the late night hours. So there's probably still a lot of people sleeping off hangovers and or whatever else. But you make a quiet stroll through the quarter back to the aerodrome, and 10 or 15 minutes later you can see it rising up in the distance, and you approach it, and you still see both airships up at the top at this distance. Yeah.
Before we get there, I'm going to stop everybody for a moment, and I want to pull out my tinkerer's tools and a little small glass vial that I have. And I'm going to spend some time to make like a minute or two to make an infusion that'll hopefully help us in convincing whomever to give us the ship.
What are you making?
So I'm going to, let me find it one moment. Whew. I'm going to just sit down with my tinkerer's tools, and then you just see Abel kind of like pulling like strands of like arcane energy out of thin air, and like stretching the arcane energy and molding it and weaving it, and I'm gonna make like a see-through, like translucent, shimmering, like arcane magic vial that has like a lot of like embellishments and like little carvings in it, but it's just made from arcane energy. And I'm gonna take my actual glass vial and infuse them together, and then you see like magical droplets start to appear in this new like embellished little vial, and it is the perfume of bewitching
Oh gosh. Okay.
common item infusion.
Okay.
So I'll explain to the group, this will give us an advantage and let whoever wears this perfume come off as a bit more charismatic, and up our chances of convincing whomever we need to that the ship should fall to our ownership. Well, whomever
Kamana.
wants to be
Yeah,
our
Kamana.
spokesperson.
Okay.
So I'll hand it over to Kaimana, and for 1 hour you have advantage on all charisma checks, and
Nice.
whoever is affected by these have no idea that they were influenced by magic.
Yeah. There you go.
I will save it until we're just about to talk to someone.
All right. So Abel creates his tinker, hands it off, and you guys continue through. And when you arrive outside the airship tower, you see like the young child who was selling the papers the day before. He's there, barking out new papers, and he says, "Fresh off the presses, new papers for the day." As you're walking by.
What are the headlines?
Do you want to? So he keeps the headlines relatively hidden, like until somebody purchases one. But if you want to grab one, you can.
I'll
Yeah,
grab one.
Okay. Yep. So it's just a couple copper, and then so you
I got this.
you look at it very deep pockets. You look at it very closely. So there are three, just like the day before. There's three major headlines on the paper. So the first one is reported missing persons in towns throughout the realm, including Banktown, which is Soros. You know, Banktown is it's the poor community that's on the western shore of the river, which if people who can't afford even to live in the poor region of Hightower, they kind of built this establishment in Banktown. So there's apparently several missing people in various different parts about the realm, including there. You see one that immediately catches your attention. Lady Haverly of the Patricians reported dead at the hands of her mythical menagerie.
That is
Get the newspaper for posterity.
no.
We gotta
I
put that
read
in
the
the
article to
ticket
make sure that there's
scrapbook.
no mention of us.
No, so it looks very like whoever the misinformation campaign did a very good job, and it talks only about the fact that she had all of these dangerous creatures present, and something went wrong at her home, and they were managed to escape, and she was killed in the resulting confusion. Right, and
Shame
then
that.
yeah, and
Happened to a
then
nicer person.
yeah.
Tragic.
And then the final one for this one is Lord Salic Zephyrus. And if you notice, each of the quarters of Hightower are named Notice, Zephyrus, Aeolian. So Lord Salic Zephyrus of the Council of Hightower, along with Shaper Igni Stonemantle of the Draken Glower, which Mar, you would know. Those are the leaders. That's the Leadership Council in Eldritch Peak. So the main people delayed the opening of the burrow, the underground tunnel trolley system, by another 2 weeks.
What is happening in the underground trolley system, man?
But
I see deception everywhere I look. On this continent,
Yeah.
it is just very sad.
but you
Welcome
make
to Alyria.
yeah. So you make your way into the aerodrome, and onto the elevator, and you hear the water percolating through the system to cantilever you guys up through, and then you kind of are in that central structure, and you walk out onto the main docking station. Abel, it's when you're in the elevator, it's when you notice that the central portion right above the elevator, you can't see the node itself, but you can see like the spinning wall of force that is keeping the node in place there. So it's probably 10 feet away from you, so you kind of have access to it at the top of the elevator.
Okay. So I will step over and take the 2 crystals that I carved in my, a fugue sleeping state, and hold them near the air node so they can recharge, or so they can charge it.
So you guys all see this magical energy field that's kind of floating in the air above the elevator, but you can't see anything on the inside of it. But then you see Abel holds up 2 Zephyrsite crystals to it, and you suddenly see this like wind energy start to pull out of the crystal and kind of circle around and go into the Zephyrsite, and then you see the Zephyrsite glow up, and so now he has 2 charged Zephyrsite crystals there.
Okay. So really quick, I will take the 2 crystals. I'll put one inside the new gauntlet that I made in my fugue state, and I will hand the gauntlet and the charged crystals to Sortis, and then at some point I'll explain, what all.
Okay, yeah. And so, Soris, you now have another Gauntlet of the Storm.
Mm-hmm.
I will send you, because Abel is now able to carve the next tier of crystal, so I'll send you the update on that one. It just it lowers the failure rate from 20% to 10%, and it increases the number of charges by 1.
Okay.
But I'll send you the data. And then at some point, I imagine you'll replace the broken crystal with the new crystal too.
Yeah.
So you'll now have two gauntlets.
Sweet.
I'll go ahead and take the broken one because he's got the better one that's charged. I'll take that one and pocket it.
Okay.
Maybe I can work on it later.
All right. So you guys make your way back out to the airship area, and you see Ogon there. He's kind of standing, and he seems to be examining the royal airship, and you can tell that there's been some patchworking happening on the hull from where the explosion caused a little bit of damage, and he's examining it. He's focused on this and doesn't see your approach.
Okay. I'll go over to him. Hello, Father. How are you doing?
Oh, hey, bud. It is good to see you this morning. Ticket takers, welcome. It's been a long night of repair. How did you like your time in Hightower?
The tavern was very friendly atmosphere.
It was
a
great.
very friendly atmosphere.
Soris. Which
Did you say very, Mara?
I just said it was great.
Soris, which tavern did you take my son to?
Father, I wanted to tell you about what I learned from my...
I tell him.
Oh, I won't tell your mother.
I shoot daggers at swords.
He kind of... Ogon smiles.
He was supervised.
He smiles for a moment and then goes, I won't tell your mother if you don't.
He didn't stay for the midnight show, so really I think it was pretty tame.
The midnight show is he went on stage. He got his cherry popped. Yes, okay. Well,
what do you know about? I don't want to know.
Anyway, what were we talking about? What was your what was the concern that you had?
Abel's not the only one who can change.
I know.
Like
I won't
father,
tell
like
my mother
son.
if you don't tell.
No, yes.
So I see you're repairing the royal air vessel.
Yes, it did sustain a little bit of damage in the fray, but not too much that we couldn't fix.
Would it be presumptuous to ask if you knew anything about the other airship?
Well, they did determine that while Noavian in construction, was not a Noavian vessel. So they are not looking at us as the cause for the attack, which is good.
It's good to know.
They had a letter from, I don't know how it arrived so quickly, but they had a letter from King Rinley abstaining from ownership of the vessel for the crown. And as the only representative of Noevia, I also said that we would like to make it as a gift to the fledgling Adventurers Guild, which was approved.
So we are owners of an air skiff?
It is on loan, let us say, yes.
Oh, Lord.
Now,
It is.
but you know that there are limitations to the airship. Of course,
Yes, Father.
flying it to Eldritch Peak, potentially possible, although the Drakenglaua do not necessarily allow just anybody to dock at their airship ports. So you might need to get a pass to the Drakenglaua airdrome.
How would we acquire a pass?
Somebody with a little more influence than me with that group.
We will.
Oh, Rob.
Your mic.
Yep,
I think that will be our next stop after this.
that would be good. Now, I don't recommend flying it directly to Feldspar, as it might get you there, but you might find yourself stranded, so...
Yes. Last night while I was working with my puzzle box, I think I found a potential way to help recharge the crystals when air nodes may not be readily available, but I came up with schematics, but it may be expensive to actually build the device, so...
Yes, well, I'm sure
Later
you'll figure
down
it
the
out,
road.
yes.
Is there a written deed
Oh,
or
yes, and he
a
kind of...
written agreement?
He pulls out he has a seal, not envelope, a sealed parchment, and he hands it over. As far as anybody would be concerned, that would pass ownership on to the Adventurers Guild of Broadfield, care of
The entire guild or the ticket takers?
care of the ticket takers.
I put it in with all the other paperwork that I have for it.
Marlo just like
What are you,
opens
a
the filing
bureaucrat?
cabinet.
Well, I just imagine like my journal has like a little like a folder back section where I've got like
your
just
official-
all
You've
of
got
our
a
like
trapper
official
keeper?
documents. Yeah. Just like all of our documents and stuff. So when people like, hey, who are you? I'm like,
It's a Lisa Frank. It's got like like dolphins on it or whatever. Yeah.
yeah.
All right.
Okay, so we've acquired our airship for the
Which
time.
means we need to name it.
Oh, yes.
Havana.
There is a place on there for a name, so you can fill that in at your own.
You named the ticket takers. I think you should name the vessel.
I agree.
Well, that's a big canoe to be named.
You can think about it. I mean, you don't have to come
Yeah, we
up
have
with it in
time.
this moment.
We have time, yes.
Yeah, give me a minute.
You're good.
Okay.
In the meantime, was the ship itself inspected for damage or?
Yes, they went through it, after to forward. I don't know, and they checked all of the compartments. They did not find any issue.
Stem to stern.
The stem to stern, yeah. The crystals have been charging overnight, so they should be good to go for whenever you head out. Now, I will let you know that because now ownership has been passed on, the crown is now not paying the docking fees for the.
More money.
However, I paid for one extra day on the Noavian tab. So you have one more day of docking here, so 24 hours.
Thank you, Father.
Yes.
So we've acquired our ship. I think we should, as quickly as possible, move on to our next goal before it becomes too late and make our way to the college.
So are you going to the cloister?
We have been invited by Lady Khalees to the adventuring college. So if you have any advice,
Oh, Lady Khalees, good luck.
Yon yon, son.
She is interesting, so Good luck.
What's
Oh,
what could you
Cool.
I would hate
tell us
to,
about
I
dealing
would
with her?
hate to ruin the surprise.
Oh,
Mm.
so generous, Father. So generous.
Well, I
Wait.
left the party early last night, so I did not talk long to her. But she did leave an impression, so.
Hmm.
Silly girl.
Did Alora enjoy herself at the festivities?
She's probably still sleeping.
She enjoyed herself. Okay, Father. Well, we hate to rush off, but I think we should get going. We don't want to be late for our appointment.
But we will be here for another day. So perhaps before you all, if you leave tomorrow or if you whatever, we are staying at Serenity's Vale. So
Serenity's Vale. Yes. I will come by and see you before we
Oh,
leave.
that's a resort style inn.
yeah, it's like the Absent Rapier, lower, and then Serenity's Vale is like the next next higher tier of class. They're not, so it's interesting. They're not staying at like the fanciest place, but
But it ain't bad.
no, it's not. Yeah. All right. So, anything else that you guys wanted to accomplish in town before you made your way to the Aeolian Ward?
Was there anything, you guys?
Can I sell my Haverly jewelry really, really fast?
Yeah. So, not hard enough. Like you have to go through the Sylph Bazaar to get there anyway. And there's like probably not a smart idea to sell them all in one spot, but you find enough people along the way that you manage. Go ahead and just make a, unless you want to have somebody else sell it for you, making a general persuasion check.
Have them take a commission? I don't know.
Oh boy, can someone help me out on this one?
Well,
On this-
I have two
Well,
rings.
Kamana, I mean,
well.
yeah, Kamana still has this. We never used the perfume, so Kamana might be helpful.
Yeah, I help.
Okay, so Kaimana, so we're trying. Look, we'll say we stop at 3 different places. Just make 3 really quick persuasion checks with advantage.
And Josh, I included my two.
First one is a 15.
Okay, so Mar, you're able to offload about half of the first set of jewelry for 350 gold.
Okay.
The second one is a 5.
You find it really difficult to offload the second half, so you might need to check around somewhere else at another time.
That's fine.
And then what's the last one? These will be for Saurus.
Last one is a dirty 20.
A dirty 20. So Saurus, you find somebody really interested in the pieces that you have. You said you had 2 rings.
Yeah, I have 3, but I'm not giving up the Haverly signet ring. 'Cause
Okay.
That's
Oh, right. That would be a bad idea.
Oh,
that's
that's
stupid.
So one of the rings, the person's looking at it, and they inform you that it has a carnelian ring that has a carnelian stone on it, which is apparently like really sought after. And so you get both rings sell for 200 gold.
Okay.
So between you guys, you made about 500 gold off of that so far, but you still have half of the original rings left for you, Mar, to sell because you took like
Okay.
the entire jewelry box. So.
Yeah, no, I was. I mean, I think it was
Mar
deserved.
wasn't proud.
All right. So you make your way back through the Sylph Bazaar, and you arrive at the eastern side of of this ward, to where you see these large, ornate, towered bridge that stretches over the river from this ward to the next ward. And at this side, you can see that like these islands are about 150, 200 feet above the surface of the water. The water has kind of carved through this zone and carved them down over time. And there's these sheer cliffs that kind of with here probably 500 or 600 feet or 500 or 600 yards of water between the 2 islands, with the bridge in the middle. And there's just not a steady stream of traffic, but there's occasionally people walking through. They're all well dressed, or you notice several people in very simplistic violet robes also making their way across. You make your way through. At some point somebody asks to see a pass. Marlo, you show them your Aeolian pass, and they kind of wave your way through. And you immediately leave behind the sounds of the city, and you find yourself in a very quiet space. There's tree-lined pathways. Everything is very carefully manicured. There's a large road that curves off to the left, and you can see most of those violet-clad individuals are heading that way towards the Violet Cloister. There's other individuals heading off to the right where you know the Acumen rest. And then straight ahead, you can see off in the distance the crenellated walls of a fort or something, and you make your way in that direction where you know the Adventuring College is set up. You arrive at the front, and you're immediately, once you give your name, are immediately welcomed in, and they kind of guide you through inside to where you find, you know, wood paneled walls, and it's this warm, wealthy interior to this castle structure. And you're walking by rooms where you see people sitting around, like practicing casting a spell onto an object. Another place where you walk by and you think they look like they're being taught how to pick locks, right? You see, like, each room seems to be teaching some kind of skill or talent of some kind. And you're led up to the second floor. And then eventually you find yourself at this arch that goes out into this open air atrium, which is at the center of the castle structure. And you see this massive open air, best way to think about it might be a coliseum at the center of the castle structure here. And you can see like that there's temporary bridges built up over a fake stream that's running through the middle of it with rocks and things. It's kind of like if you've ever been to like a paintball zone where they can like build up structures and things, like this is all built there in the middle. And you can see there's two groups of people that look like they're getting ready to either kind of spar or face off against each other there. And at that point, there's two individuals walking in your direction that you've been led up to meet. One is a tall, white-headed, brown, at the bottom, wearing an elaborate robe, Aarakocra. And she's talking to this individual next to her, and as she approaches, you can hear her kind of saying, Volmir, it's been such an absolute pleasure for you to join us today. I know that you are so busy dealing with the issues facing the Boreal Quarter, but it's always a pleasure to have members of the Violet Cloister here to oversee the magical training of our initiates. But I believe my next appointment has arrived. You must be the ticket takers. And Volmir, kind of the man next to her, who you see is a youngish, maybe 27, 28 human, long black hair, clean shaven face, bright blue eyes, kind of says, wait, I believe I've heard of the ticket takers, Adventuring Guild, correct? My name is Volmir Rylis. I'm with the Violet Cloister. It's a pleasure to meet you. Lady Callis, I would like to stick around for a little bit. And Lady Callis says, well, it should be quite an interesting day. And that's what we'll pick up next week.
Ooh.
Thank you next week.
Yeah, thank you next
Got a
week.
name for the airship.
Oh, what's your name? Yeah.
Something ticket this way comes.
I'm writing this down.
Something ticket this way comes.
This way comes. By the pricking of my thumb.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm just imagining, what's that shadow that just got cast over us?
Oh,
No.
the something ticket this way comes. But I know we kind of rushed through the last little bit there, but Volmir Rylis was the name of the wizard of the Violet Cloister who she was speaking to. And this is Lady Kellis Notice.
Okay.
Yeah. But thank you all so much. We'll see you all next week. If you have any questions, you can hang around, but I'll go ahead and end there.
Thank y'all.
Bye.